Hello, today I wanted to cover why I switched from WordPress to Duda, right? Now, I'm not going to provide you with, I'm going to provide you with an honest opinion on Duda, right? And I'm not happy with everything that they do, right? But there are some plus sides to using their platform. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide you with the facts and my experiences with it over the past few years. And then you can make an informed decision if you are a freelancer or a web designer, whoever agency, if you are looking at streamlining those processes, right? And that's the key word in this conversation. It's streamlining the process of the development, right? So I worked with WordPress before. I used to work with WordPress in an agency, but it was bulky, right? It was hard to use in certain cases. I know how to, I've tried my hand at development, programming, things like that. I went to university for it, and it worked. We did develop sites, big sites, very professional, huge budget sites. Although a lot of things went wrong, okay, and it takes a toll because you're constantly having to provide this uptime, this maintenance, and it can be detrimental when a button doesn't work or something isn't loading properly. But the thing about WordPress is you have that full capability and you have that full kind of flexibility or freedom when developing your site. Now it all depends as well on the current situation you're in and the current clients you're working with, right? So for me, I work with a lot of local businesses. I've just started making the move to some e-commerce companies as well. But the local businesses that I was working with in the agency, I felt that there has to be a better way we can streamline this in terms of streamlining the SEO, streamlining the kind of design process, adding an extra article in, adding a blog post, whatever it may be, or adding, making some design changes. There's got to be a better way of doing this, right? Now, when I left, it was around COVID time. I left to start my own thing, become a freelancer, and start my mini agency. I thought, how can I streamline the process of SEO and building local businesses, websites that are actually going to convert customers, right? I looked around and I asked a few people and I came across Duda. Now the thing about Duda is it's a white label platform made for agencies. So what you can do is you can basically brand everything to make it look like yourself, right? So I've got my logo up here on a client's website, and the client can see this, and their employees can see this, and you can brand the URL, things like that. But the real meat and potatoes of it is how has this made a difference in my work, and how has it helped clients and helped myself in selling websites, ranking websites, and providing a good overall experience for users, right, or clients. Now, to start off with, one of the main things that I wanted to cover is the SEO, right? Now you can see the difference in my free SEO audit that I offer from when I first started out and I was offering it for WordPress websites, and then when I was dipping my toe in the kind of Duda world. You can see that there's a lot more on here that probably isn't necessary when working with a Duda site, right? And this is obviously the updated version. I mean, there are still a few bits on here that I could remove and add, things like that, but it's considerably smaller, the foundational issues, as opposed to the one that I made a few years ago when I was working with WordPress websites, right? So things like robot.txt exists. I mean, this is already installed on the Duda site. Things like XML sitemap, this is already submitted on the Duda site. Whereas with WordPress, these are things that you manually have to set up. As far as I remember, obviously it's been a while since I've been doing this, but And then also like things like the page speed is already baked in to the Duda platform. Not to say that it's good enough though. It's got the right ingredients involved, and you can look this up. The things that they bake into the Duda websites. I believe they're like one of the fastest. I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on this, but I think they're like one of the fastest platforms for page speed to use. And they also use Amazon Web Services, which is a good selling point for me when providing proposals for clients. I can say that it's built on Amazon Web Services, and I believe they're one of the fastest providers out there, which is great. Okay, so there's a lot of things in terms of streamlining the SEO, and they keep improving this over time, right? And they keep bringing out new features every month, which is brilliant to see. So things like, if we go into SEO in here, enabling the local business schema automatically, right? So without actually adding it into the hard code, as you probably would on WordPress. Connecting the Google My Business profile, so you can sync the business information with the Google My Business profile, and this is a new thing they've just added. Connecting the Google Search Console, so every time you republish a site, it'll resubmit that sitemap, indicating to Google to then index those pages. And you've got Google Tools in here that you can connect up. You've got certain apps that you can use, which to be honest, I mean, I do agree with this, but it's also like you have to pay for certain apps in here, and there's plans involved. Like for example, the Site Search 360. There's a free plan, but it has a limit on how many searches you can use, which I personally think with Duda, the amount that you pay, I'm going to get onto this in a minute, but the amount that you pay per month, I think a search bar widget should be included for local businesses, just to add onto the site, because I think that's a necessity with users when using a site. If they're looking, a site like this one, we've got lots of information on here. If they're looking for a specific answer to a question, having a search bar is important, right? So I went off on a bit of a tangent there, but that is a kind of downside to Duda. Now, I'm going to be completely honest on this. It's not going to be a bias to any platform. And then if I was to look on the contrary of SEO in terms of Duda, you are limited. You are bound to what they provide you, if that makes sense. So what you can do, what's great about this kind of like streamlining the SEO processes, is it enables you to move away from the kind of foundational technical side of things and actually start focusing on the meat and potatoes of SEO, which is content, conversion rate optimization, improving user experience, backlinks, things like that, rather than messing around with redirects and 404 pages or redirects 404 pages, like removing, like we've got in here, we've got like a load of indexation. This is something that I often had to do with bigger websites, is de-indexing a load of no value pages, which seems to show up a lot in WordPress. So things like that, you move away from that kind of useless, well, not useless, it's brilliant really. I mean, this stuff is the main thing that you need to look at when you get a client's website, but it's focusing your efforts on content and backlinks and things like that, which is the main idea of building content, building videos for your client. And if you want to copy this, please go to my website. I'll leave a link in the description below, and you can use this on your Duda website. Okay, so moving on, the next part I would look at is the actual design and how to build the sites, and that is obviously one of the main selling points. If you aren't focusing on SEO and things like that, and you're just designing nice sites for local businesses, it helps. It's a great process in terms of if you want to scale quite quickly. Things like adding sections. You can add saved sections, so I can save this section here, I can save like this whole page or this template, and I can reuse it again if I would like to. I can save certain sections below, and you can kind of templatize certain things, right? And then change the information. I can build this and I can reuse this on another site, change the video, change the text. It's not necessarily what I do for clients, but it's something that you can offer if you really want to scale quite quickly. There is also something called connected data. So you can add business info, business text, business images, and then basically connect it throughout a large site. So for example, if I wanted to change all the phone numbers on this website, I could just go into connected data and change the phone number, find and replace, right? And so on, for other features. So that really does help the kind of design process in that fact. There is also the option of dragging and dropping text. Clients, it's quite a good selling point for clients in terms of you can easily, if you're a client working with me, you get your own account, you log in, and you can easily just if you wanted to change some text, if you wanted to upload a blog post, whatever it may be, it's very easy to do that for your client. Let me just move this down a little bit because I don't want to get that in the way too much. So yeah, that works well. And with WordPress, obviously you have to it's quite bulky. There's a lot of programming involved. You have to get a specialist. I mean, I know there are some some builders inside of WordPress you can use, but at the end of the day, this is a brilliant builder. I have to admit, and it makes my life a lot easier when developing sites. So I could just focus on, which is my main area, is the SEO and getting clientele to the site, right? And I can use Hotjar and things like that, and I can work out what clients are doing, and then what users are doing on the site, and then make database optimizations to the design, which is also beneficial. Now, one of the other areas is obviously most people look at is the pricing. Okay, so there has been quite a lot of feud in the Duda Web Pros group, and I do recommend joining this because you can then actually find real information around what actual users are talking about with Duda, and they hold Duda to account most of the time. They ask, why isn't this here? Why isn't this available? Why is the price increasing? And there was, this is great. This is great to see, and I like the fact that they can hold the company accountable in terms of pricing, and they are raising prices, right? When I first started out, it was a lot less to what it is now. And you can look this up. You can have a look inside of the Duda Web Pros and see how they've increased pricing. And that's something to be aware of, right? A platform as good as this one with its kind of white label agency features, which is really nice selling point. You can get your logo on there and you can mask it rather than using something like WordPress or Squarespace or something like that. You can white label it and brand it as your own. You can easily use, you can easily do that. So moving on, you just want to have a look at I would recommend joining the group if you're thinking of moving over and looking at what people are saying, because this did cause a lot of uproar, from what I remember seeing, and you have to tell clients, you have to inform clients on these price increases. If you have, because if Duda's increasing their price, then you have to increase your price, and you have to inform clients of this, and this can be quite an issue. This can be an issue sometimes. Yeah, I think that's a good kind of round off as to why I moved over from WordPress, really, because of the scalability and the kind of systematic process, I guess. In terms of building websites and conducting SEO for sites, right? Conducting changes to the design and things like that. And I do believe at the end of the day, if you're working with local businesses and smaller sites, this would probably be the the better option for you, right? But if you're working with larger companies, manufacturing business with loads and loads of products and loads of pages, maybe WordPress is the better option. I mean, it does take me on to the point of, you know, can you build custom widgets, right? You know, they give you a bunch of widgets like with each site, but like let's say you want, I don't know, you want a custom whatever it may be, you want some kind of custom widget inside of your site, accordion widget, whatever it may be. You have to then kind of figure out, okay, how am I going to do that? Because it's not something that they offer. Well, it's, you're kind of like bound to these widgets in here, aren't you? So how can you then create custom widgets? Now there is a company, and I've used him before. It's called Camel. I think it's called Camel. That's Camel Duda, something like that. The Camel Co. Yeah. So these guys do custom Duda widgets, and you can set this up. You can ask them. You can speak to them if you are looking for more of like a customized site. And yeah, I mean he's done a few widgets for me, and it's been great. So that's another area that often pops up. But yeah, guys, I hope that is kind of helped you make an informed decision. Thank you very much, and I will speak to you soon. Bye bye.